Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Bob. Good to see everyone here today, the 15th October. Today's focus strategy webinar, focusing, of course, on the Forex market. This is brought to you by Admiral Markets, and my name is Chris, a Forex trader, and you're going to be taking a look at my charts. First of all, though, before we continue with this webinar, we do have this PowerPoint and disclaimer specifically to mention. The fact that this webinar is intended for a global audience, please take into account that this session may not be suitable for everyone. And to find out if it is and other information, conditions, and details, visit admiralmarketsglobal.com, select your country, residence, and contact an appropriate entity. Also, trading for exchange of global financial markets is considered high risk, and it therefore may not be suitable for all traders and investors. Please seek the advice of an independent financial advisor for more information on that. This webinar is not advice and is for educational and informational purposes only. And you can always ask for the disclaimer via admiralmarketsglobal.com. And by continuing watching this webinar, you agree with the disclaimer mentioned here. All right, thanks for your attention on this. So today we're going to take a look at strategy. We have a couple of strategies we can choose from. And we normally look at about 10 to 12 pairs on average, with occasionally some exotics. So if this is the first time you are in this webinar, let me know, because then I could maybe explain some more details along the way that maybe are not familiar for you. And of course, if you have questions or if you have a particular pair in mind, don't hesitate to let me know. So today we are going to take a look at various strategies like moving averages, candlestick, Fibonacci will be the primary focus. Good morning, Dashan. Good to see you. Hope that everything is going well and that the trading is booming for everyone, for that matter. So far, I've had a pretty good October actually, and September. So that's good news. But we're only less than halfway still, so plenty of trading days left, in fact. Let's see, the euro dollar made a lot more downside yesterday than I expected. But we didn't break the crucial bottom, what I consider the crucial bullish bottom. So I still think, because of that this could be a bullish bounce at this moment. We see a trend line like this. Certainly prices in a consolidation and correction. And on a bigger time frame, it's in a downtrend. But if you look at this, let me just make a blank chart for the moment. If you look at this, it looks like we're in a bouncing spot to me. So that hasn't changed, in my opinion, compared to yesterday. So I still think it's a good a longing area. It is risky, obviously, in the sense that, well, everything is a risk at one point or another. But obviously we have this momentum. But I mean, if I look at the bigger 1 hour picture here, I think it's a decent probability of a bouncing spot at the moment. Yesterday was more bearish, turned out to be a very bearish day. But with divergence between these bottoms here, it looks like we've finished kind of a zigzag or whatever it is, or even if it's not a zigzag, we could at least bounce back to this top, I would say. We got news. Oh yeah, the news. I forgot actually to take a look at the news before we continue with the other pairs. 1 second. Yeah, your news, I mean, always, of course, vulnerable to what Draghi, for instance, says in 13 minutes. So everything I say now could be very irrelevant in 30 minutes from now. And if Draghi says something not so positive for the euro, this euro dollar could really start flying down. I mean, my trend line is not going to stop the euro from falling if Draghi wants it to fall or says something that makes it fall. So don't get me wrong. That's 30 minutes from now. And we have pound news as well. Claimant count change, a whole bunch of pound news, in fact, and a whole bunch of dollar news as well. Retail sales will be probably interesting to watch. A whole bunch of them. So as always, be careful of those. Technically speaking, I wouldn't be surprised to see the breakup. Yesterday, yeah, also we're breaking basically this trend line like that, so it seems like we're breaking out of that resistance. So to me, it's looking like a bullish bounce. Target, could put a fib on like this, and or actually like this, to be honest. If you use the Fibonacci strategy, that's taking, and you probably know it because no one says that they're new in here, so then you know the rules most likely. If not, let me know. You take it from swing high to swing low and wait for the 618 to get hit, and then you can move the fib from the next swing high to swing low. And then we see that the price respected the 886 fib. So another reason why I think that this is a bouncing spot. Target for the moment would be the minus 272 target at 128.46. But price could easily stall, though, at the top of this triangle, by the way. Right? Something to be aware of. Let's take a look now at the fib. This would be the Fibonacci strategy point of view. Let's take a look at the Camarilla point of view on a 15-minute chart. Price bounced off L3. So if you use Camarilla, and we're trading this morning in the Asian session about 5.5 hours ago. No, 5 hours ago, if I calculate correctly. Then maybe you took the L3 bounce. If not, then to be honest, this 15-minute chart is still bearish, so there is no trade to the upside from this point of view. What I like to see is price actually, the moving averages here to 21, crossed 89, price get close to the H3 and then pause at the H3, and then the break above the H3 would be the Camarilla trade. So it's not ready for this particular strategy, and that's okay because it could be a scale-in if someone already took a EU long, or it could be the first trade. It's not always, of course, does the strategy have to be ready at any point in time, so this one isn't. On the Camarilla, it isn't ready as yet. The break to the downside, if it goes below L3, possible, because it would be continuation with the trend, so it could make sense. I'm not a big fan of it, probably because of this trend line, but I mean, if we are pushing through the L3, then we're basically also pushing through this trend line, so it would be a trend line break as well. So yes, possible. So breakthrough L3, possible. Breakthrough H3, better in my opinion, but will take some time. The last strategy is candlesticks, price action at pivot points, and yesterday we had a pin bar, a bullish pin bar, or not yesterday, in fact, 2, 3, 5 hours ago, a bullish pin bar at the weekly pivot. So that would have been a signal if, once again, you were trading Asian session for a long. So we had a couple of reasons from a fib point of view, from a price action, sorry, from a pivot point of view, from a trend line point of view, all were longs earlier today. In fact, if one uses wide enough stop loss below this bottom here, I wouldn't see why even now it wouldn't be good as well. It's a bit higher, of course, than the bounce 20 pips lower, but sometimes you can't get the perfect price. But, you know, with the dragon speaking, it could be horribly wrong, and it's difficult to say. But if it does break this purple line, then we are looking at the opposite, in fact, and we could start fibbing it to the downside. We could put a fib from here to here, and the first target that we still have to hit is 125.85. Once we hit that, we can put the fib, new fib on from this swing high to this swing low, wait for a move back to the fib, and another continuation lower. That's the 4-hour fib. Once again, you fib from retracement to target, but only after the minus 618 target is hit. Let's see, how long is it good to stay out of the market after a news event? Usually some is okay after 5-10 minutes, to be honest, because there's little reaction. If you really see no reaction at all after 5-10 minutes, then should be okay. Bigger news events, obviously, the ups and downs are going to last longer, like an NFP. You could still see pretty big impact of price racing up or down before things settle down, maybe that you would feel comfortable taking a trade for whatever reason. Then you might think of actually probably rather an hour or two, in fact, if not longer. In some normal webinar, some normal news events, probably more like 15 to 30. I would say it all depends also how price reacts to the news event. And the importance of the news event. Let's see, Darshan says, in this case, with this news event, 3 to 5 minutes candles will wait, I think. Will lay away. Will lay away, okay. Well, with the, I don't know exactly how long the press conference will last. That's a bit tricky. Because if it lasts 30 minutes, then I guess at any point in time there could be some shocking news. So I guess in that case, at least as long as the conference takes place, I don't know how long it actually takes place. Does anyone know? But it's going to be fun. 3 more minutes. Darshan is long. Fingers crossed for him and me, because I'm also long. So let's see. Time will tell. I'm not as bullish as on the euro as the pound, basically. Pound, I think, actually looks more bearishly set up. So time will tell if that is true. It could, of course, make an upside first and then go down. If you look at the pound, let me take off everything in a moment, for the moment. Let's see. The question is also long pound. I would be cautious of this 38.2, but I could be dead or wrong. But this seems like a pretty strong fall. So if you have a strong fall like that, the 38.2 fib is usually quite a turning, maybe continuation level. So that's something I'm watching on, the 38.2. But if it breaks above it, then not as bearish as now, or anything below 38.2. Another thing, we have 38.2. Let's see. No, that's it actually. Well, we have a Camarilla H3 level. I'll show you in a second. So I'm a bit worried about, not worried, but I'm curious how price will react to that 38.2. I'm not sure how to see this. To be honest, it is in a downtrend, but how strong, is the pound really moving down is a bit of a question mark. Daniel is asking round bottom, for instance, and he has a point, because if you start connecting the dots, the breaks of the low are not going as far as the fact that as the angle of the highs, right? That's why it looks a bit, if you connect these recent bottoms, well, it looks a bit almost like a falling wedge, which would not give much hope for bears at the 38.2 fib, because then probably price will retrace higher, maybe to retest at least the top of the rising wedge and maybe make one more lower low before seeing one more bigger retracement. So that's a bit of a question mark. Let's see, pound dollar daily. Let me get rid of this fib. It was a very big bearish day, though. Big bearish daily candle. Last week's low is broken. Here we have a support level to be aware of. All right, so let's see. Let me go to Camarilla now. One of the confluences is the H3 at the 38.2 fib. So I guess it depends how price reacts to that H3. And the news event, of course, because logically the news event will probably actually, knowing the pound will be the dominant factor for this morning. So that's always a tricky one. But if price after the news event is lingering around the H3 and is showing some wicks, that might be a shorting area to think of. Let me say it this way. So yeah, definitely Bob says indeed the news. 1 hour time frame, let's take a look. Bearish, pretty big gap between the 21 and the 89 EMA. We have pivots above us, weekly, monthly S1, daily pivot point, which now could have the opposite role of a resistance. Besides the euro dollar, euro yen is also, I think, in an interesting situation, by the way. And the audio is as well. Let's take a look at those. Euro dollar expecting to bounce. Dollar yen also moving up. Now, I was a bit unlucky with the dollar yen long because I was buying it off of this fib, but I put my stop loss probably just a bit too tight. But it looks like we are getting the bounce now. I was putting my fib on this part, I think. I don't know, either one of these legs, and I put my stop loss below the 38.2 fib, but as you can see, just a bit too much. I went to 106.72. Well, the fib is at either 106.82 or 107.07, 06. So either way, I was below the 38.2. But let's see, price just went to 106.67. So yeah, I mean, on the daily chart, it looks like it's respecting 38.2 fib, but it was just 5 pips too much for me personally. But now, after yesterday's bullish day and today's continuation here, it does look like we're getting to bounce off that 38.2 fib. As we've been discussing in this room together, we are breaking this trend line. We are breaking kind of this channel, or maybe even a very faint falling wedge, which stopped at the 38.2 fib. So it looks like we're breaking up. So if the euro may be bouncing to the upside and the dollar yen may be breaking to the upside, 1 + 1 is 2, the euro yen could be very interesting, because if the yen is weakening and the euro is at a bounce spot, the euro yen could be very interesting. So if we now look at the euro yen, it's already at the H3, and we're getting the conditions for a pretty interesting longing environment here. In fact, one could even take position right here, I think, but waiting for a bit of a bounce and the next break is possible, or waiting for the pullback is also possible. But question is whether that will happen. It could also just keep breaking up. Dasha, what do you mean, by the way, with the derivatives and the interest rates? Oh, I was confused. I didn't know if you were talking about the yen or the euro. Both confused me. That would be a shocker. Haven't seen that in a couple of years. Let's see. So, well, it seems like we're pausing a bit. So let's see. Yeah, basically either a break of this H3 again, you know, the typical break, pull back and go, for instance. But sometimes these things start climbing. But I don't know. It's the euro yen is still on the hourly chart, still in a downtrend. So maybe waiting is a bit better. Leaks before the news, yep. Possible, definitely. Something always like that could happen. I don't really concern myself too much about it because anyhow, I just keep an eye on the price and how it moves in regard to anything that has been said or released, or so. You know, it could happen, but I don't think it really. Let me say, it doesn't really benefit me to worry about it. Let me say it this way, or be concerned about it during trading. Let me say it this way, but it's definitely possible. Yeah, Dashan was hoping for a surprise reaction, but yeah, it seems so odd. I thought interest rates can't be possible. Well, let's see. I think from a 5-minute point of view, probably a pullback maybe to this is one that is still on the early side because the hourly is down, but it could be the first bigger bounce to the upside. And in that regard, maybe 135.75. The quarter level could become support, I would say. So I'll keep an eye on this one together. Let's see if we get a bounce here, some kind of reaction to this zone where I have the blue lines, the two blue lines here. Anywhere in here, 135.50, 137, 135.75, 135.50. A short 5-minute chart, let's see. I'm not a big fan of it. It isn't a downtrend. Normally I would not have something that opposed against shorting so close to the 89 bearish EMA on the hourly. But for me, it looks more like a potential reversal to the upside. So I would not see much potential in the downside. It could get down, but I'd rather wait for it to get down. In my opinion, at least. See, the Aussie is also at a interesting spot because it's at a weekly, daily pivot point. So one of the 3 strategies is price action at pivot points. This one would qualify. It's nice confluence. It's kind of in a big range, like this. So it's relatively at the it's almost halfway, I would say. That's not so pleasant, but it could still be a bouncing spot. This could be a short, in fact, here. But have to be careful that if price lingers too much around the 21 AMA band, that it doesn't become a bullish continuation. Otherwise, I wouldn't be a big fan of the Aussie because it's that choppy, but the confluence of pivot points is quite sweet. All right, Draghi hasn't said much probably, but because price is not really moving a lot as far as I can see. Let's see. Was an hourly chart though? Okay, let's keep an eye on it. What else? It could be, as I said, it could be a break. Then again, I would like to see a bit more follow through before really having confirmation of that bigger break to the upside. It's still relatively quite choppy, slow upside movement. We still have some resistance left where in a way it could also look like a channel or maybe even some kind of bear flag. I don't know. It's not a bear flag, but mild channel. so far. So price would have to really start to break more into this zone before really we get into an interesting situation on the upside, I think. But slowly but surely it is turning up. Darshan says strong correction on the Aussie. Let's see, it was a very big sideways move indeed. Let's see, it's now between L3 and H3. Camarilla strategy would be looking for either now a break above H3 because we have bullish moving averages, or a break below L3 with bearish moving averages. Or, of course, one could trade the bounces, but then you wouldn't have the moving averages aligned. And that's what I just mentioned indeed regarding the bounce. Kiwi, I would skip. Kiwi is very, very choppy and not really a big fan of, from a discretionary point of view, of this particular pair right now. So dollar CAD is rocking and rolling to the upside and is in a breakout situation again. This is really strong stuff, big trend. That could be interesting, in fact. H5 would be the target. Looks like a breakout. Looks like a typical impulse, correction, impulse, range, follow through. And we are above the H3, so in that regard, it looks like a good breakout. Really a strong trend. Dollar CAD not only breaking this year's high here, 102.70, but actually this decade's high as well. This is we haven't been at this high since 5 years ago, roughly. So it's really pushing. It's going to be interesting to see how this weekly candle reacts to this resistance top. If the week closes anything like this, a couple of days from now, it looks like a very strong breakout. If there's a big massive wick at the top, it could be a false breakout. But for the moment, though, we are in a breakout within this week, and it could climb a bit more. I wouldn't expect the world of it. I mean, it's not going to, probably this candle is not going to end up at 120 this week, but a bit more follow through today is possible, but with some limitation. We are above last week's, obviously above last week's high, easily. Above yesterday's high. We have a small doji, the last 4-hour candle, but otherwise, we could be in breakout territory right here. Trail stopping every 50-minute fractal to reduce risk or lock in profit would be probably smart in here, because in this case, because it's difficult to see how far it can go, and eventually we're going to get a retracement of some kind. So you want to guard yourself against such an event. Alrighty, so the dollar CAD looks interesting. The euro yen fell a bit more, so Daniel seems to have would have done not that bad at the moment, at least. Let's see how price reacts in this blue zone. What else? Aussie we're looking at is moving down indeed. The Aussie broke actually, oh yeah, one thing, yesterday didn't get the bounce at this bottom. Well, a bit, but after that we broke. So as soon as it broke the bottom here, this blue line here, I joined the shorts, in fact. In some cases, if you can't beat them, join them, is sometimes said, and in this case, I guess it made sense. I was expecting a bounce here. It didn't happen. But we did, after the break, get some good downside. So let's see. Otherwise, pound yen looks bearish to me. Pound yen, but yen is moving up at the moment. Let's see. Engulfing twins at the H3. Well, with the pound event, I probably would rather wait, but this looks more bearish than the EJ. We were yesterday also looking at the odd CAD, and then we can take a look at the Euro CAD, as Edith was saying. We were looking at it yesterday and saying, well, price was here, I think, and saying that could be a bigger bounce off that minus 618. And we did get that. I didn't take it, but just wanted to quickly review it yesterday based on the fact of this fib and hitting the targets. We are getting a follow-through of the odd against the CAD, and the CAD is weakening across the board. So the Euro CAD maybe could be interesting as well. Let's take a look. Making higher highs, higher lows. It is boxing itself out. I didn't look at the Euro CAD this morning, but if I do that now together with you, well, I don't know about this trend line. It's leaving almost an entire candle outside of that line, but still not a bad line, I would say. The price is breaking out of that. So it looks like we are breaking out of a downtrend. Maybe one resistance left right here. Otherwise, we're certainly getting some good angle to the upside now. As you can see, this line was already steeper than the previous one, than the blue one, and the green one was steeper, and then the red one here is already steeper than the green one. So we're getting some momentum shift here to the upside. Bullish candles, break of last week's high, higher highs, higher lows on the 4-hour. So interesting. It's just I'm not sure how far price can still go. It has already broken out decently, but how much space is left? So let's take a look at the Camarilla. It's between H3 and H4. So yes, there is maybe some intraday space left to H5. This was the breakout. This was fractals hitting the H3. So any hook back to 143.30, any bounce off the broken resistance, which is H3, probably would be worth it with a stop loss below this bottom probably. Along from there. That's what I would think at the moment. Will price return to the level? I don't know, but that would make most sense, I think, to get a bit of a discount still. Certainly on how I look at it, it looks like we're in a breakout to the upside. What were you looking at, Edith? Did you have something else in mind, or maybe something else, something specific on a specific time frame? Ah, cool. You were also looking for you were looking at the daily, weekly, and looking at the breakout to the upside. Okay, cool. Yeah, I see the same indeed. So still in the early stages, but looks like we're in that situation. We still have a monthly high, last month's high ahead of us, which is something to be cautious of. Let's see, what is that? 143.87. Looks like we got a bounce at the 61.8. Alrighty. Let's see, XAU USD, still nowhere. In fact, still fighting against this purple line. Very slow price action. Let's take a look at the euro odd and pound odd. It doesn't look that interesting at the moment. Kind of stuck in this zone. Using fibs in this particular area would not be that useful. Pound odd is a little bit better because it's more bearish. I did a long analysis together with you yesterday. If we break this particular support trend line, we could see a fall down to these fibs, specifically the 50, I would say. Head and shoulders, not maybe, but not a particular great example because of the fact that the equilibrium in the pattern isn't that fantastic. I think you probably mean this. You can see it's a bit off, but I guess the hourly, sorry. The hourly. Maybe. Yeah, also not perfect one, but normally the head is a bit closer to the shoulders as well compared to the neckline. More something like this, for instance. And in this case, you have price falling down and then doing this instead of coming from the upside here. That's a bit different there, but I can see what you mean though. Obviously there is that weakness here. And we are making a, maybe for instance, a ascending wedge like this, right? Like that. If you connect the resistances here and the bottoms, it looks like an ascending wedge and we're trying to push through it. So Darshan is worrying though. He's saying there's a big correction coming on the pound. So I guess that Darshan thinks that this will be a bouncing spot. Is that did I see that correctly? Watch out for the data in any case. That's going to be around the corner, so that's something to be cautious of. If we put fibs, for instance, on this downside, Dustin is going along, stop loss 158.95. So just for your info there, thanks Dustin for sharing that. If we put fibs here on this downside, you can see move up to 38.2 fib, right to the target, so we can move the fib from retracement to target, and then what do we have? We have downside up to 38.2 fib again, down to target, right? So we have twice, we have a zigzag, move 1, 38.2, move 2. Move 1, 38.2, move 2. Right, so we have twice in a row, same fib. Now let's move the fib down, and we have a 50 fib right here. So to me, I am in the short, and I'm aiming for, let me look. I'm up in profit, and I'm aiming for 181.68, which is above the 181.50 target here, the first target. I just need a bit more downside, but I don't never know, of course, it will get there. It was close. Went down to 85. But only time will tell if it really can make that final dip. In any case, for me, from a fib strategy point of view, this was the bouncing spot 50 fib, minus 272 target is the first one. And only if price really breaks above this top, can I start fibbing the upside? Can I start putting a fib from this bottom to the next top? At least on this 50-minute chart. Let's take a look at the hourly. On the 4-hour, the fib would be, let's take a look. On the 4-hour, we're still retracing this fib. And we bounce off the 61.8. But price could still bounce off the 78.6, and the fib would still be valid. From an hourly point of view, the upside fib is out. Why? Because if you look at the hourly and you start fibbing the very first move up here, and accordingly to targets, this fib is not valid anymore. Why? Because price crashed through the invalidation point. Hence, we can take that fib off. So on the hourly, there's no, and 50-minute, there's no bullish fib. Only on the 4-hour. And the 4-hour bullish fib that is still valid is this one. So we have bearish fibs on the 15 and hourly, if you use that specific strategy, but bullish on the 4-hour. Daily chart is interesting. It's actually bearish fibs because we're still in this swing high, swing low. And what do we see here? Price stopped at the 88.6 fib, right? Because we put a fib from here to here under red, and now we have the fib from blue to blue. And here the price went straight to the 86 fib. So only the 4-hour. If the 4-hour cracks, if this bottom cracks, we're basically all aligned in bearishness. So let's see, that's the fib way of identifying the direction and the potential trades as well. Now it's too late though. Now or price has to get higher, for instance, for a short, or maybe even here for a long. But with this as a stop loss, I wouldn't be a particular fan of that though at the moment, personally. If I use other tools as a confirmation. At the moment, I would say either from here, probably actually, I don't know, probably would rather wait for the break, pull back, and take it one more time short from the broken bottom to the 78.6 fib. That probably could be the best plan at the moment. Or in other words, let this L3 break, or even take the break of the L3 with L4 as a target, or L5, or wait for break, pull back, and go, if we get it. Let's see, what target do you go for on an 88 fib in general? If you have 88.6 fib, you can actually aim for the opposite bottom or the opposite fib. So for instance, if you have like this, price goes all the way up to the 886 fib, you could actually put a fib like this to the opposite direction. So instead of from top to bottom, you would then do it from bottom to top to the 886 fib. And you could even aim, because the stop loss is so tight above this swing high, the risk is small, you could even aim for the opposite 886 or 786 fib and still have a decent R2R and have a higher chance that you'll exit that trade. You could also aim for the minus 272 or minus 618 target, but of course that would require going through the blue bottom here. And therefore, slightly less likely that that will happen. So those would be the target. You could even aim for the opposite fibs, the orange one here, would increase the chances of the trade materializing. So let's see what happens. Euro dollar, not much of a bounce so far, unfortunately. Retracing at the moment. Pound dollar moving down 2, but not from the H3. I want to see it at the H3, but we have a pound news event. Let's see, dollar yen retracing a bit at the moment. Odd USD didn't go anywhere. Anything special? Euro yen is in the zone. Let's see. Waiting for some wick or something like that. But unless that happens, I would be cautious. I want to see some confirmation. As I said, the hourly is down, so it is not as strong as if trading with the trend. But it does look like a broken triangle that could act as support. So in that regard, could be compliments. So I'll go back to that in just a second. Let's see. Otherwise, these were not interesting. Let's take a look. EuroCAD was interesting. 1 second. EuroCAD is not yet at the H3, but it's getting close. Alrighty, let's see. Pound Swiss is not on my chart. 1 second. Or maybe it is, but I missed it. Let's see. Pound Swiss. Well, it looks like an uptrend on the daily, but certainly a strong retracement on the 4-hour. Let's put a fib on this downside here. upside, excuse me. Looking at divergence and trying to see if there's any chart pattern or anything that could give us an edge, but from a discretionary point of view, it's a retracement probably within an uptrend. Daily is up, but 4 hours down. So there's a decent chance that this is a bouncing spot, but will it happen here or lower? Or lower, for instance, like the 886 fib, I think is probably the question at the moment. So if you, for now, so looking at the 4 hour, looks like we had actually, if anything, a recent acceleration to the downside. So I wouldn't be too jumpy on expecting a bounce right here. If anything, it looks like a more of a correction, sideways correction for downside. In general, it looks messy indeed. This particular one. But considering the recent momentum fall, I would be still cautious with looking for a bounce despite the daily uptrend. Maybe deeper, maybe if price gets further down, like the 78 or 886. And if we have a bit more divergence between these hourly bottoms, and we see a bit more slowing down, or tiredness of the, or weakening of the momentum, I want to say. So until that point happens, maybe shorts look a bit better on intraday, short-term time frame. Let's see. We are below H3 still, but not below L3. Break of this trend line maybe, or break of L3 could be a signal of that downside. Strong moving averages here, a lot of gap between 89 and 21. So I'm not a big fan of both, but certainly not longs at the moment here on this pound Swiss franc. Where we can enter for long term, then I would probably say the only thing that would make sense, I guess, is the lower fibs at the moment. $786 fib, for instance. Let's put a fib on this downside. From retracement to target. Minus 618, that's the next bouncing spot if you look at it from a 4-hour fib point of view. That could be a target for shorts, for intraday scalping shorts, but for those looking for a long-term bounce spot, it could be not a target, but actually a bounce spot. That minus 618 target roughly equal indeed to the 78.6 fib. So that particular level, 150.90, could be interesting. If there are various ways of tackling it. One could wait for price to get to the 150.90 and not take an entry order there immediately, but wait for price to show a head and shoulders pattern, for instance, inverted head and shoulders pattern on a 50-minute chart, for instance. And that could be then a way of getting an interesting long at that L4 minus 618 trend line 78.6 confluence at that spot. There are a lot of confluence at that particular level. So that could be a bouncing spot. So that looks interesting for a long-term, maybe even for medium-term bounce. Yeah, when you get that much confluence is always extra sweet because there are multiple reasons for price to do what we expect. So that should obviously increase the likelihood that indeed in the long run that our odds and reward to risk improve. There's also a bottom here, so there are really, I don't know, 5 reasons as we already have counted. Plus we'll have divergence, most likely at that point, which is 6. So there's a ton of them. So that could be interesting. One could, in fact, if you like to trade multiple styles, one could even think about taking a intraday short and a close in reverse when price gets to the target after maybe a confirmation is given. Alrighty, great stuff. Thanks for asking, Kalian. Great, thanks so much. Let's see. Oil Brent. No, I still don't have that. In fact, I don't think I will have this on this. These are only Forex currencies here. But let me try to open. Does anyone else have a pair in mind, by the way? In the meantime, I'll try to open other platforms, see if I can get that running. Yeah, if I follow your comments there, Daniel, I only see Forex. Okay, Daniel says I don't have it indeed. Let me check. I have another platform though. Give me 1 second. In the meantime, if you have a pair in mind, just let me know, and we can take a look at that. Otherwise, I'll just quickly see if I can open the other platform here. 1 second. I am not sure where I have that platform, in fact, at the moment. I wanted to open the animal markets. Wait, I found it. Good. Got a screenshot from Daniel. 1 second. Let's take a look at that. And then we'll take a look at, see if I can open my other animal market platform. Oh wow, no, I don't have that many indeed. That's a lot of them. Alrighty, folks, let me quickly take a look what's going on with you and see if anything has changed on the euro, getting a bit of a bounce, pound. I guess, if anything, euro yen, let's take a look, 50-minute chart. A bit of a wick, but that's a tough one. probably still wait a bit on that euro yen. Aussie is moving down a bit. The CAD looks pretty good though. That probably maybe is one of the weaker ones today. Oof, my password. I don't remember. Let me take a look. Any questions on any particular strategy, maybe, by any chance? We could take a look at the dollar CAD and see where the main target is. Regarding using fibs, let's see. We would start from the bottom, fib to the very first resistance. Now take that fib and move it along. Alrighty, seems like we bounce off a 38.2 fib. First target, minus 272 at 114. Will be the first target on the dollar CAD on the daily chart here. Then after that, 115.57. And obviously, if we then zoom into 4-hour chart, we can start fibbing different parts. We can start fibbing from the very bottom here. And moving it along, we would see here would be a loss. We have to start again. And don't forget, you can take trades basically off of these fib levels. This is the daily chart. Now let's take a look at the 4-hour fibs. The orange one is the daily. The magenta one, I'm making a magenta now, is the 4-hour fib. And you can see we got to bounce off the 50. Price went to the minus 272 target. Then went down again to the 681.8 and then went up to the minus 618. And that happens sometimes, where you get this kind of motion. So price eventually hits the minus 618. We can move the fib again. And we're at a minus 618 target. So this could be maybe a bit of a stalling spot, although price, you know, could be at a spot where you see a retracement here. But it's not everything. It's not wholly. Just because price is at a minus 618 target doesn't mean it will necessarily not continue a bit further than that. I'll be cautious with anticipating bounces off of targets. In some cases possible, but I would rather more position for the upside off of a fib, for instance, rather than waiting for price to turn. It sometimes can happen though. If you get a confluence of fib targets at one spot, it could be good for a reversal idea as well. But at this moment, I wouldn't count on it too much. But it is valid though now to move the fib from here to wherever it stops on the 4-hour chart. And that would be the new fib on this 4-hour level. And if you then compare with the daily fib, we don't know exactly where this 4-hour chart will stop, but you see that the bigger minus 618s probably will be roughly aligned with each other. Let's see, at what price action do you look for a bounce at a pivot for confirmation? Any wicks and any engulfing twins, or the three-line strike, I think it's called. Yeah, any hammers or shooting stars, as I said, wicks or pin bars are my favorites, but engulfing twins as well. I'm afraid I'm going to have to look at, I found it. Good. Let's see if it's still working. It's expired. Oops. Didn't use it enough. I'll have to set up a new one, unfortunately. Well, folks, I guess that rounds it about up as far as I can see. Unfortunately, I cannot reach gold. I'll try to open. I'll open a demo for that again, so we can take a look tomorrow. Then, okay, Björn. I think it was Björn who was asking. Yeah. Might be too late. Sorry about that, but it unfortunately expired. Your dollar, as I said, I'm expecting a bounce here. So let's see. It is kind of hanging around here for the moment. It is getting some bounce again, but time will tell. Pound more bearish, especially from H3. To summarize, dollar yen, I am more bullish, cautiously bullish, that the 38.2 fib could be the bouncing spot. But would like to see price certainly make more confirmation by breaking through and continuing in this channel. Aussie looks more like a bearish turning spot H3, but moving averages are bullish, so want to be cautious that this is not a bounce spot, in fact, because if the euro dollar goes up and the pound dollar, it does go up to H3, which it doesn't look like at the moment. Want to be careful of the bearishness here, but so maybe sitting on the fence with the Aussie at the moment. Euro more bullish, pound more bearish, dollar CAD bullish, Euro CAD 2. Price missed the H3, but well, who knows? Maybe we can still get there. Otherwise, Euro yen, yes, Euro yen looking for a bounce, but still a little bit cautious because of the bigger downtrend. But in general, could be maybe an early first reversal sign or area here on the euro yen. If it however breaks below 135.50, then something else is going on, specifically the bottom of this trend line, because that is a level that shouldn't break. Otherwise, price is not giving the bullish rebound or reversal that I could be expecting on this EJ. So time will tell. It's an early one, that's for sure. Let's see if it gets the bounce or not. Björn is up 700 pips. That's, well, then in that case, can't go wrong. Indeed, great job. I'm curious. I'll have it set up tomorrow. We can take a look at that trade together. Tomorrow we'll be back with another webinar, and tonight and tomorrow night, Nenad will be speaking as well. Nenad has a webinar tonight about Heikin-Ashi, and then tomorrow we're going to take a look at fibs and waves in the morning, and in the evening we'll take a look at trends via trend lines. So if you can make one of these webinars, it would be great to see you then. And in the meantime, wish you all a great day and good trading. Oh wait, we got one more question here. Let's see. Yeah, sorry if I forgot some of your questions here. Yeah, sorry, Matus. You were talking about the Camarilla trading webinar. No, at the moment there's no plan, in fact, to have a Camarilla trading webinar. I do think we had webinars in the past on pivot points. Let me take a look at the archive here. Let's see. Let me find that pivot. Nenad had a webinar on the 11th of December 2013. Pivot points, 2nd of September 2013. So you can find it in the archive. I think we most recently had one as well, but the archive hasn't been updated since a few months, so we wouldn't be able to see that. But there have been a couple of older webinars there, if you like. There's no plan at the moment. Setting it up, but we can think about it. We can at the moment we don't have it scheduled for November. Let's see, but we could think about it in December. You just have to think about it. Remind me otherwise, maybe if you don't mind, beginning of November when we set up the webinars. But setting up the indicator itself is not so difficult. You just basically go to your platform. You have to place that indicator in the appropriate file by going to File, Open Data folder. Then go to QL4, go to Experts, Indicators. MQL4 Indicators. Paste that indicator here, like this, Camarilla. Close MT4, open MT4. Go to Insert, Indicators, Custom, and you should see it there. You just click on it and it will be on the chart. Maybe that was a bit too fast, but did you follow? So you just, it's basically one indicator with all 5 levels, so that wouldn't be. Let's see, is the indicator available somewhere? No, it isn't, but I can send it to you. Just send me an email, and with the topic like Camarilla, and just send something quick like please send me Camarilla, and then I will attach that indicator. Okay? And the email is there in the chat. Yeah. So anyone who wants that, by all means, please let me know, because it'd be great. I mean, it'd be easier for you if you want to join the webinars more often. It'd be, I guess, useful to have the Camarilla as well. You would see the levels easier, if you like, of course. So you can always get that through my email. So hope that's clear. Thanks again for being here, and see you very soon. Have a good trading day. Cheers.